Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the disappearance of Lars Mittank? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So first I'll provide the details that are known about the disappearance, and then I will offer my analysis. Lars Mittank was born on February 9, 1986 in Berlin, Germany. On June 30, 2014, when Mittank was 28 years old, he went on vacation to Bulgaria with 5 men. They were all friends of his. They were former schoolmates, and all of them were in their late 20s. During the trip, his friends noticed he didn't eat a lot, but other than that, nothing else about Mittank really struck them as unusual. At some point, Mittank allegedly was involved in a fight with 4 men who disagreed with him about which soccer team was best. There are various accounts as to when and where this fight happened. By most accounts, it occurred on July 6, when Mittank was out without his friends, so they didn't see the fight. It appears as though Mittank may have also claimed that there was a second fight, which involved a Russian or Bulgarian who the 4 men hired to attack him. The friends really didn't seem to believe this particular story. Mittank sustained an injury to his ear during the fight. He was treated by a physician who indicated that he had a ruptured eardrum. The physician prescribed him an antibiotic and told him it would not be a good idea to fly due to the changes in air pressure that occur in flight. He recommended Mittank go to a hospital, but he did not go. His friends flew out of Bulgaria, but Mittank stayed behind in a hotel in Varna, Bulgaria. It was not the same hotel that he originally had been staying in. They had offered to stay with him, but Mittank said he would be fine. The day after his friends left, Mittank started engaging in bizarre behavior. He called his mother and whispered to her. He indicated people were trying to rob or kill him. He was being followed. He was looking for a place to hide, and he advised her to cancel his credit cards. He then hung up the phone. He would text his mother later asking about the antibiotic that the physician had prescribed to him. He texted, "What is sulfaroxam 500?" That was the name of the drug. Surveillance cameras at the hotel captured him behaving in an erratic manner. He was looking out of the windows in the foyer, pacing back and forth, hiding in an elevator, and at 1 a.m. he left the hotel for an hour. Then he returned to his room. Nobody knows where he went to at 1 a.m. for that hour. On July 8, 2014, Mittank took a taxi to the Varna airport. He texted his mother, "I just made it to the terminal." At the airport, he checked in with the airport physician to make sure that he was able to fly. Mittank walked into the physician's office, dropped his bags on the floor, and sat down on a chair. The physician reported that Mittank was acting strangely, really nervous and erratic. After looking at his ear, the physician determined Mittank was fine. He could fly, so he could go back to Germany to be with his family and his friends. Mittank appeared to have concerns about his medication that he addressed with the physician. When a construction worker walked into the room, Mittank began to tremble. Under his breath, he said, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." Right after he said that, he jumped out of the chair and ran out of the room. All he had were the clothes on his body, a yellow t-shirt, jean shorts, and white sneakers. He left his luggage behind. In his luggage, there was his cell phone, his passport, and his wallet. After running out of the room, he started running through the airport and out of the building. He continued to run when outside. He climbed over a fence and would disappear into a nearby field. He was never seen again. There have been various alleged sightings, but none have been verified. It appears as though Mittank simply vanished from the face of the earth. Now moving to my analysis. Mittank reportedly was a normal young man. He did not stand out for any particular reason. He had no history of mental illness. He was generally agreeable. He liked nature and the outdoors. He used to hunt and fish. What could have happened to Lars Mittank? Let's look at a few of the theories. Number 1, he deliberately ran away. It was part of some plan to start a new life. There's no indication he was having any trouble with family or friends. If he was planning on running away, why would he do it in a foreign country and not take anything with him? This theory seems unlikely, but it would explain why he was never found. Theory number 2, he was involved in some type of foul play. Like there are theories about how he could have been smuggling drugs or something like that. This theory usually has some component involving the friends, like they were all being terrorized by criminals, they were allowed to go home, but Mittank had to stay in Bulgaria as a guarantee that they would complete whatever criminal objective that they were supposed to complete. It's an interesting theory, but there's no evidence to support it, and it involves a fairly complex conspiracy, like all his friends would have to be in on it, at a minimum. Like the first theory, it does explain why no one ever found him, but again, I think this is pretty unlikely. Theory number 3, Mittank was under the influence of drugs, perhaps something that was new to him, like he was experimenting and had an unexpected reaction. Some people blame the antibiotic he was prescribed, but he never filled the prescription. He didn't have any drugs of any type in his luggage. So this one doesn't seem too likely either, and it doesn't explain why his body was never found. Theory number 4, Mittank had a concussion as a result of that fight. This caused psychosis. This is a possibility, but there are many reasons to believe it didn't happen. The vast majority of concussions do not result in psychosis, and when they do, the symptoms usually manifest weeks, months, or even years later. It's not often that it's an immediate psychosis. In a case when a concussion does result in psychosis within a few hours, it is often accompanied by other symptoms that the physician probably would have noticed. So theory number 4, I think, is better than the first 3 theories, but it still doesn't explain the situation very well. Now moving to the last theory I'll cover here, theory number 5, psychotic illness. Under this theory, Mittank was having what is referred to as first break psychosis or first episode psychosis. He was experiencing the onset of something like schizophrenia or a major mood disorder like major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder. This would explain much of his behavior, like the paranoia, persecutory delusions, anxiety, the odd eccentric behavior. I think the psychotic illness theory is the best explanation, but this theory does not really explain why he ran away and why he was never found. I'll look at these separately. As far as the running away component, paranoia usually doesn't cause people to run like he did. Paranoia may cause someone to run a short distance and try to escape a perceived threat, but not to continue running like that and not to leave everything behind. As far as the never being found part, it really makes little sense that he was never found. Perhaps he was deliberately avoiding people who were searching for him, so he hid somewhere in the woods or in some other type of rural area and died of dehydration or some type of injury. Were other people involved? Was he murdered? Why would they kill him? Was it a situation where some random people just happened to see him running and decided to murder him and hide the body? Was there an aspiring serial killer convention in town? It just doesn't make sense. There is no satisfactory explanation for why he was never found. He did not have any means to go anywhere. How far could he get with no supplies of any type? I think what happened in the case of Lars Mittank was that a number of unusual circumstances came together. He had some type of psychosis, paranoia led to the unusual consequence of him running. He happened to avoid detection, and something claimed his life. Then somehow, his body was never found. Maybe the kind of circumstances that only align once every 1,000 years. I don't know what happened to him, but he certainly had terrible luck. There is always a chance that Lars Mittank is alive. I certainly hope he is. Maybe he somehow made it quite some distance, was still paranoid, and didn't want to tell people who he was, so he just continued life as homeless. What lessons can be learned in this case? I have just 2 here. The first one, perhaps it was not a great idea for his friends to leave him behind in a foreign country after he complained of a head injury. Second, even though his mother did tell him to come home right away on a flight, perhaps she should have called the police for a welfare check. She probably didn't recognize the symptoms of psychosis. Maybe this case will bring more awareness to that condition. Those are my thoughts on the case of Lars Mittank. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be enlightening. Thanks for watching.